sport, sustained success in baseball has been and always will be about the guys who deliver the ball to the plate. And of late, the Rockies are on a nice run behind an improved pitching staff. Last night, it was Chad Bettis sprinting through a potent Cards lineup to push Colorado to their 5th straight win. The Rockies hope to continue their recent trend of late-night handshakes. Rockies Cardinals from St. Louis next. That's more like it. Clear skies above, warmer temperatures on the banks of the Mississippi River. We're in St. Louis, Mo, as the Rockies play game 2 of this 3-game set against the Cardinals. And an official welcome inside Busch Stadium and upstairs, along with Ryan Spilborghs. I'm Drew Goodman. Good win for the Rockies last night, 3-1. They're now 12-8 out on the road. And this is pretty amazing to me. They have won 4 consecutive games, 5 overall, but the last 4 victories, the starting pitcher has gotten the win. The last time that happened, 2013.
Wow. Those are some crazy numbers, and if you look back to when they beat and swept the Mets, you got to think it back to John Gray setting the tone. He came out, and you follow it up. Tyler Chatwood on that last game, the Sunday game, was struggling and still found a way to come up and get the victory, pitch 7 innings, and it is carried on to the road. If you look at the road, the last 3 road starts, only 1 earned run in 19 in the 3rd inning. This type of starting rotation we have not seen in a long time, and there's a lot of things that they're doing that has been quite remarkable.
Well, one of the things they're doing that we hear a lot about, not only inside the Rockies clubhouse from the guys who play behind the starting pitchers, but the guys on the other side, is how quickly these guys are working.
No doubt. And Matt Holliday last night was talking to me after the game about how fast Chad Bettis was going in between pitches. He missed 2 pitches that he felt he couldn't hit, but because Chad and the pace that he's going at, that number is ridiculous. To put it into context, 21.5 seconds is the average time in between pitches. Chad Bettis was at 16.9 seconds. You can look at the rest of the guys. They've all picked up the pace, and from a hitter standpoint, when a pitcher's working that fast, you can't get into the box and feel comfortable. From the defensive standpoint, you talk about the Rockies being one of the best defensive teams in baseball. It's all tied into that pace of play, but Chad Bettis last night, that is some remarkable time in between pitches.
And very quickly, flipping to the offensive side of the things, the Rockies, especially out on the road, it's like they are going to score the first run however it takes. They're not sitting back, Spilly, waiting for a home run. They're playing small ball.
They're playing excellent baseball. They are playing small ball, and they're taking quality at bats, top to bottom, passing the baton. It has been starting with the starting pitching, but the offense has been doing its part. It's been very good baseball to watch. Good, clean baseball to watch.
It's been a lot of fun. They have won 7 of their last 11 away from Coors Field. They look to make it 2 in a row tonight, and they look to hand the baseball hopefully to this guy, because they have a 5-game winning streak, and Jake McGee has saved all 5. It's the Rockies, it's the Cardinals. Come on back to St. Louis with us. Center field, always bustling before, during, and after the game. And once again, so good to see blue skies above. Yesterday was cold and nasty. Tonight, more baseball-like weather. Third member of our crew this evening, as always, is Mark Staton. We had alluded to the fact that Jake McGee has thrown the baseball exceptionally well and handling the ninth inning. For more on that story, we check in with Mark downstairs. Mark?
Yeah, Drew, so good to have nice weather. So good to have a closer at the back end that's getting the job done. Jake McGee had 26 career saves coming into this season. Of course, he was with Tampa Bay then. You see his blue glove. Well, he's got 13 saves this year in 15 opportunities. That's second in the NL. 13 saves in 20 Rockies wins. That's second in terms of team winning percentage. And as of last night, first closer to save 5 straight team wins. And bullpen coach Darren Holmes, you know what? He thinks the sky's the limit for Jake McGee.
I think last night is probably the best glimpse that we've had so far of his fastball. I mean, he was 95 to 97 last night. You know, he's been 92, 93, 94, been hitting some 95s. And, you know, it's funny because it's exactly what he said. He said late in May is when my fastball starts coming back, and he knows exactly what it is. So last night it showed up. And, yeah, now you know, we're seeing why nobody hits him.
After the Tuesday win, catcher Dustin Garneau said that he has a plan game in and game out. He sticks to it. And as Mr. Holmes said, his fastball, Drew, it's getting better and better, and the guys in the pen know that as well, and they are relying on him at the back end.
Yeah, and Mark, historically, if you look at Jake McGee, his best months have always been once the weather gets warm and the fastball starts to elevate, and I'm glad he pointed it out. We did see a couple of 97s flash up there yesterday. We are ready for baseball in one of the great baseball environments in the sport, St. Louis, Missouri, and Busch Stadium. It's the Rockies and Cardinals. First pitch is next. Brought to you by Bank of the West. For a personal approach to banking, go west. Bank of the West. By your hometown Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. By American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. So the Rockies enjoying their time thus far in St. Louis. A tidy 3-1 victory yesterday. Adam Wainwright, big 6'7", 34-year-old out of Georgia, bounds to the mound, and it has been an un-Wainwright-like year so far for Adam. More on that in a moment. Leading off will be Charlie Blackmon. A career .346 average when he's competing against the Cardinals, and he's had a solid .287. He's always around .287 last couple of years, on base about 35% of the time. Southwest batting order this evening for Walt Weiss will once again feature Trevor Story second. Nolan Arenado will bat third. Then Cargo in the cleanup spot. Mark Reynolds will bat fifth. Gerardo Parra back in there. He had yesterday off against the left-handed starter Garcia. DJ LeMahieu, Tony Walters, and Chris Russin doing the pitching tonight for Colorado. So Adam Wainwright's on the hill. This is a guy that on 4 different occasions, Spilly, has finished in the top 3 in the Cy Young voting in the National League, but he's off to a sluggish start.
That's kind of putting it nice and kind for him. 6.80 ERA. He has pitched a lot better of late. Won his last 3 straight decisions, but when we were watching Adam Wainwright, fastball command is not where it has been in the past. The velocity is down. He's not getting the same swing and misses with his curveball. People aren't chasing him as much. So it'll be interesting watching. Let's see if he is able to command both sides of the plate and if he can establish that curveball early.
And the question, as he begins the ball game against Charlie Blackmon with a fastball off the plate at 88, the question is it just rust after missing most of last year with the Achilles tendon injury? That cuts way inside, 2-0. Or is he starting to see effects of Father Time? He's at 34, and he's thrown a whole lot of pitches in his big league career, and as we all know, Father Time's unbeaten.
He'll remain unbeaten. And to me, already 2-0, not able to command the cutter, so he has to go to the fastball. He wants to establish his fastball, wants to be able to pound lefties inside with the cutter, but if he's not able to throw strikes with it.
And this ball is well hit right center field, and it is going to be caught out there. No, it's dropped. And heading toward third is Blackmon, and he is going to have a leadoff triple. Great effort by Grichuk, but he couldn't hang on. And Charlie Blackmon starts the ball game off with a blast to right center field. Second triple this year for Charlie.
Well, and you got to love the situation for Charlie Blackmon. When you're sitting 2-1, you've seen 2 cutters in that weren't close to strikes. You can look and hunt out over the middle part of the plate, and that's what Charlie does. Gets a sinker that runs back. Randall Grichuk, I thought, had no chance of catching that baseball, and it hit the heel of his glove. Nice play by Grichuk to even make a play on it, and Charlie standing on third. Couldn't have asked for a better situation.
So the Rockies can get a quick jump on Wainwright and the Cardinals as they did last night. Story at the plate. He's driven in 28. And he takes a strike.
Well, I'm sure for Adam Wainwright, as he's trying to get his confidence back, and even for a guy like Wainwright that you've mentioned has finished in the top 10 in Cy Young for so many times, a guy like this can lose confidence in a heartbeat.
Well, he admitted he's been frustrated, and he said, I want to put everything that's happened so far this year behind me. He's looking forward to this start. 1-1, and on the ground at third. They're going to come home with it, and out at the plate is Blackmon. He went on contact, but it was a corner infielder. And the Rockies lose a great opportunity there. Is that a read situation, Spilly? Take us through being that runner on third with nobody out.
Nobody out on a ball hit to your left, right to the third baseman. That's not a read. That's just him going on his own, thinking that that ball's going to go to shortstop. And for Charlie, where Matt Carpenter was playing was really in the 5.5 hole. He was shaded Trevor Story far off the line. So when you read the ball off the bat, it looks like, hey, this ball's going to short. In fact, it goes right to Matt Carpenter, and he's thrown out at home.
So Nolan is up there with 1 out. Story at first. And there's a strike. And as you come through here, you really take Wainwright off the hook. Guy on third with nobody out is going to score close to 90% of the time. Way inside on Nolan.
Well, and you're right. Typical baseball play, a ball hit to the left side of the infield, but I want you to pay attention how far off the line Matt Carpenter is. And once the ball gets hit, that ball looks like, for a base runner, that's going to shortstop, not to the third baseman. So it is a bad read by Charlie Blackmon, but the read is on a player that's in not the normal position.
2-1. Nolan's 2 for 6 lifetime, matching up with Wainwright. Wainwright has great numbers against the Rockies. 6-1 in his career with an ERA of about 1.5. And this is a double play ball. Bobbled at short, and the issues continue night after night for this St. Louis infield. That is a 6-4-3 double play 99 times out of 100. Now the Rockies have 2 on after Aledmys Diaz commits his 10th error.
Well, this is a tailor-made double play. You can't ask for a better double play, and it's on the exchange for Aledmys, and he's not able to do it. You look at the fielding percentage, it's the lowest in the National League, which for a team that we've seen in the playoffs and in the World Series with the starting pitching, this is un-Cardinals-like.
Well, no other shortstop in the game has more than 6 errors who plays on a regular basis. Let's see if the Rockies can cash in. Cardinals are giving them a golden opportunity. 2 on, 1 out for Cargo. Carlos in his matchups 3 for 11 against Wainwright. And a shattered loop right back to the pitcher. 2 outs. That's the cutter that Wainwright throws almost a third of the amount of time. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Mark Reynolds. Defensively, the Cardinals have Matt Holliday in left, Randall Grichuk's in center tonight. Steven Piscotty is in right, Carpenter, Diaz, Wong, Brandon Moss in the infield, and Yadier Molina is behind the plate. He of the 8 Gold Gloves. Think about great catchers, wondering who's won more Gold Gloves behind the plate. Johnny Bench won 10. And Pudge won 13. Ivan Pudge Rodriguez. This is fouled off by Reynolds. How about Mark? I was chatting with him around the cage today. He said, I don't remember having this many hits to right field by percentage. He goes, I can only remember a couple hits I have to left that were pulled. He actually has 7 of his 33 hits that have gone to left field.
Well, you'd like to see another hit right here. I don't care where it is, but you have to find a way to get a run off Adam Wainwright and the defense that the Cardinals have given you. And that is un-Mark Reynolds, like 26 hits either to center field or right field. Only 7. He has a lot of pop opposite field, but for a couple of years he was pulling the ball primarily.
Yachty throwing to second base on the wrong side of the bag and diving back in. Story. 2 balls and a strike on Reynolds. Good curveball. That's the Adam Wainwright curveball you're accustomed to seeing. He has not gotten the number of swings and misses on his curveball this year that he has typically in the past.
No, he hasn't. You look at the whiff percentages for Adam Wainwright, it has dropped down quite a bit. Only 22% this year off of his curveball, where at his peak it was 35%. That's a big drop off.
And predictably he goes right back to it, but he misses. Reynolds saw it. It's 3-2.
Well, and some of the other numbers that we like to look at, the amount of strikeouts per 9 has dropped significant from last year, from 6.4 down to 5.2. Again, when you're not getting that curveball over and the velocity isn't there, you're not going to get a lot of swing and misses.
Runners moving, 3-2, curveball, fouled off. This is how much the strikeouts per 9 innings have dropped over the last 4 years. 2013, almost a strikeout per inning pitched, and so far this year, the 6.80 ERA and very few strikeouts. Story at second. Arenado is at first. And Reynolds lines one to right, and getting there to make the catch is Piscotty. And the Cardinals keep the Rockies off the board despite a leadoff triple by Blackmon and an error on Diaz. Lewis with the great arch in the background. Drew Goodman, Ryan Spilborghs, Mark Stout on Root Sports this evening from St. Louis. And that's Matt Carpenter. He'll lead things off tonight for the Cardinals, as he typically does. Southwest batting order this evening for Mike Matheny. Stephen Piscotty will bat second. Matt Holliday will bat third. Grichuk will bat cleanup. Then it's Yadi Molina, Brandon Moss, Aledmus Diaz, Colton Wong, and a very, very good hitting pitcher in Adam Wainwright. Chris Russin is making his fourth start of the year. He has struggled his last couple, and he's got the first pitch in there for strike one. He's given up 11 runs in his last 10 innings of work. He's familiar, Spilly, with this ballpark. Remember, he came from the Cubs, so he's pitched here on 3 different occasions, twice as a starter.
And he has great numbers. 11 innings pitched, 10 hits. He's only given up 1 run. It's a .82 ERA. The last start that he had was July 30th, 2015 with the Rockies here at Busch Stadium. With 5 innings pitched, gave up 10 hits, 6 runs.
Well, last time you saw Carpenter was 3 for 3 against him with a couple of home runs.
Well, for Russin, it's the first time through the lineup he's been dominant. It's the second and third time through.
.02, fastball's up high. You know, when you're out on the road, you're facing a high-quality team like the Cardinals. You just hate giving away opportunities, and that first inning really stings. The leadoff triple, you got to cash something in there.
You have to cash something in.
Good pitch. Russin strikes out Carpenter. Let's take a look at the arsenal of Chris Russin. Somewhat similar right now, a left-handed version. He's not in Adam Wainwright's class. That's unfair to Adam, and I think Chris would be the first to say that. But a lot of fastball cutters and not high velocity.
Not high velocity, but what Chris makes up for is pace of play, how fast he's moving, his ability to run the ball inside and run it away. He's inducing a lot of ground balls with this cutter in.
This ball sliced to right. Cargo's going to have to fetch it out of the corner. Extra bases for Piscotty. So a 1-out double. So Piscotty, who lost an 8-game hitting streak last night, looking to start another one at second base. Parra, Blackman, and Cargo in the outfield for the Rockies. It's Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, and Mark Reynolds in the infield. Tony Walters doing the catching after Dustin Garneau did a very good job not only handling Chad Bettis last night, but offensively threw out a couple hits and an RBI. So here's Holiday. He was held hitless last night at 0 for 4. Good fastball away at 91. It's 0-1.
Well, the entire Cardinals offense 1 through 4 last night, 0 for 15, was held in check by Chad Bettis.
That's closing in on some milestones. Later on this year, with good health, he'll pass 2,000 hits in his career. He's not all that far from 300 home runs.
No, he's not.
And another strike. 0-2. There's Chad Bettis. Behind the birthday boy. Happy 49th birthday, Eric Young. Ball and 2 strikes on Holiday. Here's a neat stat on Matt. He's one of 13 players in Major League history with the following numbers: a 300 career average, 250 plus home runs, more than 1,000 ribbies, and also more than 100 stolen bases. Aaron Mays, Ruth Garrett, guys like that on this list. And that comes up and it hits Trevor Story on the hop. I think it got him in the face.
Scotty Garrett's going to run out and take a look at Trevor Story and see where he got hit in the face.
Must have taken a bad hop. It's a 4th error on Trevor.
Well, it's not been a very clean inning on both sides of the ball. Talk about the Cardinals, you talk about some bad base running and some defense. And as Holiday hits a hard grounder to short, you can see the in-between hop that Trevor gets. He sets his feet and just hits him in the heel. Curious where it got him on the Subaru Supermo.
I don't know if it took a bad hop. He just made it.
I think he just
worked
missed
himself into
Yeah.
a kind of an in-between hop, as you suggested.
Well, and you see the sun right on his face. There's a seam in the stadium right now where the sun is shooting right through shortstop, and you're not saying that he's looking down. He's in the shade, going to get the baseball, and then all of a sudden he gets into that window of light and it hits him in the eyes, and that's what created the error. But see, he's not comfortable.
So Randall Grichuk's at the plate. And he takes outside. Grichuk had a pinch single, final batter that Bettis would face yesterday, and produced the only run for St. Louis.
Before the game, Mark Reynolds was talking to the group of guys. Mark Reynolds spent last season here with the Cardinals and was saying that Randall Grichuk doesn't have quite the same amount of pop, but is in the same breath as Giancarlo Stanton. And a lot of the Rockies guys were watching Giancarlo Stanton home runs, and they go, okay, he can hit it like this. And Mark's going, yeah, close.
They were talking about his strength being Holiday-esque. That's saying something.
Yeah, Matt Holliday, hands down, is the strongest human I've ever been around. And when somebody said that Grichuk could be stronger, I said, yeah, right. Matt won't admit to it.
Here's the 1-2, and that skips up there. 2-2.
Well, last year when Grichuk first came onto the scene, his StatCast numbers, the exit velocity was ranking him right up behind Giancarlo Stanton. So Reynolds has stats to prove it.
First and third, one out. Bottom of the first, no score. And that's way inside. 3-2. Temperature yesterday at game time was barely above 50. Dipped below that at 65 tonight. And a walk, and now the bases are loaded for Molina. Molina threw out a hit last night. One of 6 singles in the ball game for St. Louis. The Rockies had 7 hits, all singles. No extra base hits between the two clubs last night. That is most unusual. Outside. Russin will be hunting something to get Yadier Molina to roll over.
Well, because Molina is so good at hitting the ball opposite field, it's going to be hard to get him to roll over it and chase an off-speed pitch.
Punches that into the seats foul. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And the Cards batters this year with the bases loaded, 10 for 24. That's a .417 batting average. This is where they make their money. .382 batting average against runners in scoring position when Chris Russin is on the mound. So numbers are not in the Rockies' favors right now.
Piscotty doubled with 1 out. Then Holliday hit what looked like a routine ground ball to short, and it was not handled by Story. And then Grichuk, who was behind in the count at 1.1 and 2, works out a walk. Ground ball, diving stop, Nolan. There's one on the first. How do you like that double play? What a play by Nolan Arenado again. That saved 2 runs. For you DRS folks at home,
add 2 more.
Add 2 more. What a marvelous play. No scores. We go to the second.
Look at Molina. He can't even believe it.
Where'd you put that? On the rankings of all the great plays we've seen him make. This is a base hit off the bat, and the greatest, I suppose, example of that was the reaction you got from Yadier Molina. He couldn't believe it. And it's not just, okay, he gets the force. He's going to, once he got it there, and DJ's going to able to turn it over easily. I mean, that's a 2-0 lead. First and second, still 1 out, and St. Louis continues on.
And you talk about losing momentum. The top half of the inning with the play by Charlie Blackmon at third base, running into an out. Should be up 1-0 on Wainwright. You're not. And then the Cardinals answer right back, and they're going to take 2. Molina thinks that's a hit. He's not moving that great, but still, can't believe it.
One curveball, and Parra fouls that off. Gerardo has seen Wainwright more than anybody else in the Rockies lineup. He's 6 for 23, a 261 average against Wainwright. Gerardo had his 7-game hitting streak snapped on Sunday against the Mets. Again, did not play last night. And a strikeout. First strikeout of the night for Wainwright. That'll bring up LeMahieu. Rockies fans, join in on the conversation tonight and every night. Send us your thoughts, photos, questions perhaps on your favorite social media platform. Make sure you include the hashtag Toyota Talk. We'll get to some of those comments tonight as the evening progresses. 1 out, LeMahieu with a .308 batting average. DJ 1 for 3 yesterday. Scored one of the Rockies 3 runs. Takes a strike. He's hit 8 ball games in a row against the Cardinals. 15 for his last 31 against St. Louis pitching. Wainwright, originally a #1 pick of the Atlanta Braves. They do such a good job historically, as we know, drafting pitchers, but also scouring the Southeast. Guys from Georgia, they know all about, and they find a way to get a lot of those guys out of Georgia. Wainwright is from the state. He was traded in 2003, you may recall, to the Cardinals for J.D. Drew, who's another Georgian, and that trade ended up heavily favoring St. Louis. He's one of the heroes of the '06 World Series. Back then he was working out of the bullpen, closed the final game of the NLCS, closed the World Series.
Well, and even the extra players that the Cardinals got, one being Ray King and another one being Jason Marquis. Both were key players for that Cardinals run, and both ended up being Colorado Rockies at some point.
Yeah, isn't that something? Ray King for a while working out of the bullpen, and Jason Marquis was an all-star with the Rockies.
So J.D. Drew and Eli Marrero. Eli Marrero was another Rocky at one point too.
For a minute, he was real versatile catcher. When I look at Tony Walters, I always think of Eli Marrero, because Eli was such a good athlete. He could play center field in addition to catch. Not a lot of those guys running around. And that is strike 3. That good curveball dropped in the lap of DJ LeMahieu. 2 strikeouts.
So Eli Marrero was a great teammate. Cracked me up all the time because he was the first teammate I've ever had as we watch this curveball. And this is where taking the curveball and changing speeds for Wainwright makes him so effective. He has a harder one and a slower one. Going back to Eli Marrero, Marrero would spray cologne on the bottom of his shoes. He'd spray it on his hat, spray it on his glove. I know, Drew's giving me this face. He would spray it on the bottom of his shoes, and I asked him, I go, why are you doing that? He goes, you got to smell clean top to bottom.
Really?
That was his line.
And further evidence that this game will make you batty.
Crazy, crazy Eli Marrero.
Tony's hitting 5 of his last 6. He takes a curveball for a strike. Wainwright works off the extreme first base side of the rubber. Imposing figure on the mound at 6'7". He was a tremendous high school football player, great wideout. He was also an all-state kicker. And this ball is lined to center field. Grichuk's out there, and it's a 1-2-3 second inning for Adam Wainwright. No score, middle of 2 in St. Louis.
The stereotype for the crafty lefty, and I'm going to prove that by showing you how much he uses his changeup. And I thought I would show you the percentages in the NL West. You see number 5, Chris Russell, uses his changeup basically 15% of the game. At the top is James Shields. Kazmir and Wood, the lefties for the Dodgers, and Johnny Cueto's in there too. He does whatever he wants. I talked to Russin yesterday. I said, do you look at the gun to see where your changeup should be? Should it be at 70, 71? He said, nope. All I care about is movement. And Spilly, I don't know what you look for when you faced a guy like this. Was it the movement? Was it the speed? Or was it just trying to figure out the sequence?
Well, sequence has a lot to do with it, and that's when you're looking at a guy like Chris Russell, you try to play along. If you're a right-handed hitter facing Chris Russell, you know he's going to try to throw the cutter in. And that's why the changeup for him, when he talks about the movement, is so important, because he wants it to go away from the right-hander so he can get the rollovers, he can get the swing and misses.
Waited and fielded that with the glove, which was smart because that had a ton of English on it. And then he got Brandon Moss by half a step.
So Brandon Moss was fooled on this play, and he takes a full swing and hits it off the end of the bat. Notice the English. The ball is moving, so Nolan is going to use his glove, and then he's going to use his rifle for an arm to get the ball and throw him out. ColoradoRockies.com, they created a new thing. It's called the Nolan Word Generator. So since we've lost all the words to describe the plays, I just put, they ask you, is it an offense or defensive play? And so if there's a word to describe him, I just press it. And he said, Nolan Arenado is silky.
And look at that. He's putting on a show, isn't he? 2 outs.
Let me try a new word. Find out what this one's going to say.
How about the best? The best there's ever been with the glove at third.
I just got befuddling.
Colton Wong with 2 outs. Just inside. Wong had a good night at the plate. He grinded out 4 high quality at bats. A couple hits, couple walks last night. There's a strike. the growl of Gary Cederstrom. He's behind home plate this evening. And Lance Barksdale at first. Jimmy Wolf is at second base. Adrian Johnson at third. Sliders off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. One on Colton Wong.
Last year, Colton Wong hit .262 with 11 home runs, played great defense, had a .707 OPS, ended up signing a 5-year contract.
Russin with his quick pitch. It's 3-2.
So it will be interesting watching this Cardinals team moving forward. We've seen the defense. It's not great. Aledmys Diaz at short. I'm sure when Johnny Peralta comes back, he's going to end up playing short. But Colton Wong, to me, based on how good Diaz is offensively, might be losing some playing time.
You got to keep the bat in there. This is chopped to second. DJ's got it. And a 1-2-3 second inning from Chris Russell. No score. We move on to inning number 3 at Busch Stadium. Pretty Wednesday night. Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By Scott's Black Magic, darkness for the greater good, and by GMC. Rockies winners last night 3-1. And no score as we go to the top of the 3rd inning. Chris Russell will lead it off, then Blackman and Story. The announced crowd last night, more than 41,000. In reality, about 27,000 and change braved the cold temperatures yesterday. But today, they look like they have more than 40,000 in the ballpark. Cardinals, a 100-win team last year. Captured their 3rd straight NL Central. Russin takes a strike. 2 good hitting pitchers tonight, legitimately so. Wainwright and Chris Russin. Well, last year, Chris Russin at Busch Stadium went yard. That's a legitimate big league stroke. And this is poked in the air to left. Holiday comes on and makes the catch. I watched Matt track a ball last night in deep left center. He's moving better than and listen, he's always been in unbelievable shape, but he was carrying 255 pounds around. He looked like an NFL tight end. He still has the build of an NFL tight end, but
he's more of a safety now.
Well, there's no way I'm calling that guy a safety. He's still 230, right?
Yeah, he's every bit of 230 pounds. He's looking good. He understands it. 37 years old, 36 years old. He'll get mad at me if I said he's 37. Doesn't turn 37 until January.
He's taking some of the load off his knees. Inside, ball one. Charlie Blackmon led the ball game off on a 2-1 pitch with a booming triple to right center. Unfortunately, he tried to score on a ground ball by Trevor Story, the third baseman Carpenter, and he was thrown out by about 15 feet. So the Rockies lost a great opportunity to score the first run.
And Charlie's 5 for 8 off Adam Wainwright in his career.
2-1.
Sees it really well off him, and even on that pitch right there, Charlie's just spitting at that, knowing that that's not a strike. Certain guys, no matter how good they are, there's some great matchups. You Hall of Famers, and then somebody will own them.
And Charlie continues, to your point, pounding the baseball against Wainwright. He waited beautifully on that. Lined it the other way. Blackmon 2 for 2 against Wainwright. Now 6 for 9 against Adam. And with one out, speed on first with Trevor Story coming up.
Well, his first at bat of the game, Charlie drills a triple into right field on a fastball that was in. So Wainwright trying to change speed, trying to change eye level, hangs a curveball, but this isn't a strange part of the plate. This is up and away. Just sped him up inside with the fastball in, and then with the curveball away. That's a very good job of hitting, especially driving it opposite field.
Blackmon has 3 bags so far this year, and that's lined to center field by Story. And Charlie will stop at second base. 2 on for Nolan. Fans of the Rockies score 7 or more runs tonight or any night. Go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the following day. Make sure you do it between 4 and 6 in the evening, and get your Rockies taco special at Moss and Taco Bell.
Rockies need to capitalize again. Another opportunity, runners in scoring position. Adam Wainwright this year has been struggling in these situations. .442 batting average with less than 1 out, or 1 out or less, runners in scoring position.
And Nolan takes a breaking ball for a strike. He had a ground ball right at Aledmus Diaz, the shortstop. Would have been a 6-4-3 double play, almost a certainty, and Diaz booted it for his 10th error. Told you at the outset yesterday, the Cardinals have played the poorest defense in Major League Baseball this year, which is very uncharacteristic of them. 2 on, 1 out. Nolan held up, 1-1. Good speed on base. Blackmon and Story outside. Check this out. This is a great example of why the Rockies are a different team offensively and doing so much better out on the road. They're not sitting back and waiting for the 3-run home run. They have scored basically 35% of their runs on home runs this year. It's just 21st in baseball. Last year, 40+% were scored via the home run. 40%, which was 7. As this is fouled off. The point is, the Rockies are manufacturing runs. They still have plenty of pop, as we know, in their lineup, but they're manufacturing runs. Roughly 38% of runs this year have been scored via the home run. So the Rockies are below that. I think it's a great thing.
It has to be. It was something that drove me crazy last year watching the Rockies, and I'd look at their offense and go, if they don't hit a home run, they're not scoring tonight. Now you look at the offense and you go, you know what? They haven't hit a home run too often on the road of late. But guess what? They're scoring enough runs to get the win.
2-2. That's fouled off. Here's something else. The Rockies, the last 10 ball games, are 6-4. You're winning 60% of the time. You do that over the course of the season, you're going to be in the postseason. They've hit home runs in only 2 of those 10 games. They won last night, no home run. They won On Sunday, they hit a couple, and Thursday, in the 8-7 victory, they hit a couple. So 4 home runs their last 10 games. That's it.
I like that style of offense for this team.
Nolan pulls this one into the seats foul.
Now, don't get me wrong, a 3-run jack right here would be great. You'd like to see occasionally one swing score a bunch of runs. But in years past, and last year specifically, you look at it's pretty much the same lineup, give or take a couple guys. But they would swing wildly just trying to get the home run. And if they didn't get the home run, it was an out.
Too many strikeouts, too many quick at bats. Nolan hanging tough. It's now 3-2.
I think you look at Nolan, and as good as Nolan was last year with the 42 home runs, look at the patience that we're seeing from him. The amount of walks he's taking. His ability not to chase. He has grown up so much in just 1 year.
He went fastball, and Wainwright reached back for a little something extra, got it up to 92. They're 8 pitches into this dance. The Rockies as a team have hit .288 with runners in scoring position, one of the best marks in the game. And now Molina's going to go out.
The whole infield's coming in.
Everybody's coming in. Everybody got an invite.
Think Adam's going to tell him what he said?
Well, he walked over and he said, "Scram." Here's the group that have done so well with runners in scoring position. The Rockies will see Boston later on this trip. The Cardinals have been outstanding. Three-2 on Nolan. And this is in the air to center field. Runners were moving, and getting back in time is Blackman. 2 outs. It'll be left to Cargo. Just beat him slightly on that fastball. Ran off the barrel to the middle of the bat.
Well, you have to have a lot of trust in your hitter, and they do with Nolan. He doesn't swing and miss too often, and when you're trying to move base runners first and second, you're normally, as a hitter, you don't want to see the base runner moving from second base. It can be distracting. But if you can get an infielder to vacate a location, a spot, if Carpenter goes to the bag and Nolan's able to pull it through the 6 hole, then you're okay with it.
Cargo got literally sawed in half on a cutter his first time up. That fastball's up. I asked him, by the way, I said, "Did you get that ball in the first inning last night?" He said, "Crushed it." Ball didn't go anywhere. That's what a lot of folks were talking about around the batting cage this afternoon. Carpenter hit 2 balls on the button that ordinarily probably would have been out. And Cargo out in front. It's a high fly ball to center field. Grichuk has it, and the Rockies leave 2 aboard in the 3rd. No score, middle of 3. St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame, which is adjacent to the ballpark, the great Bob Gibson. When you've been around for 125 years, when you've captured 11 World Series titles, you have room to have an expansive Hall of Fame.
And that Hall of Fame has the second most amount of baseball artifacts, only behind Cooperstown. It is a fantastic Hall of Fame. I went into it yesterday. I was marveling at some of the things that have happened with the St. Louis Cardinals and the St. Louis Browns and the history of the game, and seeing what Branch Rickey did setting up the minor league system or finding the loophole in the system.
Look at some of the all-time greats.
I still can't say Red Schoendienst's name.
Shane Dienst.
Shane Dienst. I had 3 different people enunciate it to me, and none of them were the same.
Red Shane Dienst. 1-2 on Adam Wainwright, who is no slouch with the bat. In fact, earlier this year, he had 4 straight plate appearances over a couple of games in which he produced extra base hits. Home run, triple, double, double. The only other time a pitcher accomplished that feat was, of course, 1901 when Snake Wiltsey did it for the Philadelphia A's against the Senators, all in one game. 1 out. Snake Wiltsey. It's been a while since he's made one of our broadcasts.
Snake Wiltsey?
Snake Wiltsey.
Hey, Snake Wiltsey, are you looking to come out to a game? There's always great Rockies ticket deals available, so bookmark Rockies.com/specials and check back throughout the season.
It's like Dougie's favorite when you get a guy from like the 1880s or the turn of the century, that century, not the last century. Did more guys have nicknames back then? Carpenter takes inside.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I was walking through that Hall of Fame, all the nicknames, I mean, we know Moonlight Graham and Oil Can Boyd, and start thinking of throughout baseball, all the great nicknames and the Gas House Gang of the 40s. It's just great. It's fun to look at it.
Red's in the house. Red Shane Dienst in the middle.
It's Billy. Red Shane Dienst is 93, and this is his 72nd year in baseball.
Red Shane Dienst, and I haven't seen it yet in this particular series. He used to be in uniform behind the cage.
He was in uniform at spring training this year with the Cardinals. He lives in an assisted living place about 20 miles west of here and shows up to the ballpark as much as he can.
How about that?
Beautiful human.
2-1, chop foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Carpenter.
Kind of a cool story about Red, too, I was reading about when I was over at the museum, was he actually wore number 6 when Stan Musial was in military action. Stan comes back. He had already won an MVP, and he gave the number back and took number 2. So he was the last person before and after Stan to wear it.
That is an interesting tale. That's fouled off.
Well, and Stan Musial, from what I was reading too, was a great pitcher, and he ended up hurting his arm. And the next year, they said, all right, why don't you just hit? So he went to the minor leagues and was hitting, and by September, he got called up, and the rest is history. Stan the man.
Chris Russin with that simple delivery, and the changeup is in the dirt. 3-2.
Now, there's a lot of great history of the Cardinals. Think about Kurt Flood, and there's a picture of the Cardinals and the most expensive team in baseball. You look at the salaries, and the salaries just make you smile.
They'd make owners smile right about now.
Oh, yeah.
Carpenter takes inside. It's a 1-out walk. Second walk issued by Russin. And That'll bring up Piscotty, who doubled to right in his first at bat. Red Shanedean's finished with 2,449 hits, career .289 hitter. And eventually would become the manager of the Cardinals. Went into the Hall of Fame in 1989. Piscotty out of Stanford fouls that one off. Stanford coaching staff likes to talk about this kid's work ethic, how driven he was from the moment he arrived in Palo Alto. Eventually he'd be a first-round pick. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Piscotty, a rookie last year, homered in his first postseason game. Randall Grichuk did that in 2014. And our friend on the Cardinals broadcast on the radio site, Mike Shannon, did it back in '64. That's going to be another hit. So a double to right and a broken bat single to left. 2 on for Holiday.
Well, Piscotty now 2 for 2. He gets a fastball inside, quick hands in. That ball's in off the plate. But when you take a good swing, that ball's elevated just enough that it's not a ground ball to Nolan. Second time through the lineup, hitters are hitting .303 off Chris Russin.
Holiday reached on the error by Trevor Story in the first. And that swings and misses, so 0-1.
And you can look at those numbers. He's gonna have to find a way right here, coming through the heart of the lineup with Matt Holiday. Randall Grichuk has been struggling, but he has been also giving some quality at bats with a walk earlier today.
One ball, 1 strike on Holiday.
So far, both pitchers have been flirting with disaster.
Matt last year was limited to just 73 games with the quad injury. Hit only 4 home runs. This is hard down the line, fair ball, and that'll get St. Louis on the board. Coming home is Piscotty. Carpenter gets a green light. They got a play perhaps on him. Safe at the plate. 2-run double, Matt Holiday. Even Nolan couldn't help out Chris Russin there.
Well, both pitchers have been living on the edge, and Matt Holiday gets the best of him. Ball up in the zone and hits it right past Nolan. Nolan had no chance. As much as he wanted to get that baseball, he couldn't. Gerardo gets the ball in nice and quick, but Trevor Story doesn't have a real good shot. Piscotty moving so quick from first base, knowing right off the bat that it was going to be extra bases. When you look at that, you don't have to give a lane based on the trajectory of the baseball for Tony Wolters. He doesn't have to allow him to go straight into home plate, so he can stand where he was.
Grichuk hits it high in the air to left center field. It'll stay in the ballpark. Blackman makes the catch. Holiday's going to tag and move up. 2 outs. Bring up Molina. Holiday and Nolan visiting, and that pitch is low on Yachty. You know, there's so many statues outside. If you brought them all inside, they'd fill up like half the upper deck. And one day, they'll have a statue of this guy outside Busch Stadium. He has implanted himself as one of the all-time St. Louis Cardinals.
He's still cracking up from last night.
Ask Mark Reynolds about that. Because remember we had the shot of Mark smiling his whole at bat as he's had a play. So Yachty was standing in front of the plate. Mark said, "Aren't you supposed to be behind the plate?" They had a good time with each other.
The youngest of 3 Molina brothers. All of them great catchers.
Jose, Benji the oldest. Here's the 1-2. And that is going to be caught out there by Blackman. Great running catch, tremendous read. Molina's wondering what he has to do to get a hit. That saved a run. Holiday drives in 2 at the double, 2-0 Cardinals. Jenny, thanks much. Yardgoats still haven't played a home game yet. Good to see him get back on the winning track. David Dahl having a terrific year in the Eastern League. Rockies down 2-0. Mark Reynolds in the 4th inning will lead off. The Rockies have had a couple opportunities, have not been able to get the big hit. Reynolds, Gerardo Parra, and DJ LeMahieu. Strike 1 from Adam Wainwright. Reynolds closing in on a milestone. We were chatting about milestones earlier with Matt Holliday. Mark's 8 hits from 1,000 in his career, and now he's 7 hits from 1,000 in his career. He bounces a double down the left field line. There's one on the pull side.
That's what you want to see every now and then, pull a baseball. And Adam Wainwright struggling this year with leading off the inning. 400 batting average against him, and Reynolds pulls this one right past Matt Carpenter. Get a pitch up in the zone, you can't miss it. This is great. This is what we talk about when you talk about winning an inning or punching back. Rockies just give up 2 runs, and to come off with the leadoff hitter, put him right back in scoring position. This is how you get the momentum back.
Interesting, Matt Carpenter has moved up on the grass. I think it's a smart play. Seeing the MO of the Rockies a little bit, knowing that Parra does bunt some. He's trying to take that away. And Parra takes a full swing and gets a little of the baseball. 0-1. So yesterday the Rockies win, Billy, 3-1. It's the third time this year that they've played a game in which they didn't have any extra base hits, and yet, to again support the point of scoring in other ways than the home run, they're 2-1 in such games. Here's something else. The Rockies have played 9 games this year where they've scored 3 runs or less on the road. They've won 4 of them. Last year they went 3-39 when scoring 3 runs or less on the road. It was like the white flag. Had no shot.
Well, that was part of the offensive approach, and it was mainly when you look at the pitching staff. Rockies staff this year has been so good, and I mean, just to look at a guy like Tyler Chatwood, .33 ERA on the road, that's best in baseball.
That's another strikeout for Wainwright, who hadn't had many coming in, and it's a big one because Parra fails to move up Reynolds. So now there's one out, and LeMahieu will come up.
Fans ask about the Memorial Day weekend Super Suite special, available May 27th through May 30th in the Super Suites 1 through 6. Call 303 Rockies for more information.
DJ struck out looking at a curveball his first time. 3 strikeouts for Wainwright. Outside. How about Molina and Adam Wainwright? This is the 192nd time that Molina has been behind the plate for a Wainwright start. That is second in Cardinals history, that battery between the Hall of Famer Bob Gibson and a guy who had a terrific playing career and a great broadcasting career continuing on here in St. Louis, Tim McCarver. Bouncing ball up the middle, and Wong will throw out LeMahieu. 2 outs. It'll bring up Tony Walters.
Yadi Molina is going to be next inning. He's about to pass Ted Simmons, all-time catcher for innings caught as a St. Louis Cardinal franchise record. But going back to DJ's at bat right there, if you're Gerardo Parra and that ball gets over, you put the ball in play, and Reynolds is able to get to third. Yeah, you're looking at a 2-1 ball game. And we've been praising the Rockies for small ball of late. We've been saying that they've been playing a hybrid version. Tonight, they have not been playing very good hybrid version of their small ball. They have not won an inning yet.
First inning, they had a leadoff triple from Blackman, didn't cash that in. Then after an error, they had first and second, 1 out. Cargo hit a jam shot right back at Wainwright, and Reynolds lined out to end the inning. Third inning, they had first and second, 1 out. Nolan had a long at bat but flew to center, and then Cargo also flew to center. The Rockies are 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position in the game. Actually, let me correct that. They're 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position in the game. So they've had ample opportunity. 2-0 on Walters. 3-0. Russin is on deck.
Well, you had Adam Wainwright on the ropes for majority of the night. You haven't found a way to knock him out.
And he swings at a 3-0 pitch, and Diaz throws him out. So the Rockies 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. 2-0 St. Louis.
And Drew was talking about how it's EY's birthday today. It's also the 79th birthday of one Brooks Calvert Robinson, born in Little Rock. And Brooks Robinson, the Hall of Famer, the Gold Glove third baseman, one of the best ever to play that game position. And of course, we get to watch Nolan Arenado play third base for the Rockies. So I thought it would be fun, as we watch this first pitch, to take a look at age 25 for Brooks Robinson in 1962 and, of course, Nolan this year, and compare their numbers and where they're at after 38 games into the season. Each of their teams were 20 and 18, some similar numbers. And Drew and Spilly, at the end of that year, Brooks would end up hitting .303, 23 homers, 86 RBIs, Gold Glove, All-Star, 9th in the MVP voting. So we'll see what Nolan does at the end of the season.
And Brooks Robinson won 16 Gold Gloves. Nolan's already captured 3. He's well on his way to 4. Something else about Nolan is that pitch is taken by Brandon Moss low, 1-2. It's not just the spectacular plays that he regularly makes. It's the balls he gets to nobody else does. And each year he has more chances than any other third baseman in the game because of that range. Ball's pounded foul.
Well, and something as simple as watching the Rockies shift the infield. 2 strikes, the Rockies will move Nolan from his position at third base and shift him farther towards the shortstop position. You watch baseball, nobody has that extreme of a shift because nobody has a Nolan playing third base that can cover the entire left side of the infield. So even though he's not even getting the ball, he's already changing the way we're viewing baseball, because on the other end, Matt Carpenter is a pretty decent third baseman. They would never consider this shift with him.
Strike 3, outside corner. So Moss is gone. 2 strikeouts for Chris Russin, and it'll bring up the shortstop, Aledmys Diaz. Diaz was robbed by Nolan his first time up. There's a strike. And another one.
And on the Subaru strike zone, it says strike, strike. Not a lot to argue, especially when you've been in the big leagues for about 6 weeks.
He went quick there. It's fouled off. Diaz hit .423 in April. And though he's dropped off in May, he's still hitting .300 in the second month of the season. And a tough chance, no chance for LeMahieu. If Diaz goes the other way behind in the count, a 1-out single.
Well, far too good of a pitch and a 1-2 count to Diaz. This pitch is up in the zone and just high enough that Diaz is able to get quite a bit of wood on it and drill it right past DJ LeMahieu. That ball's lower in the zone. It's either a foul ball, it's a swing and miss, or it's a weak hit baseball. But anytime you elevate and you get the ball up, if it's not above the belt buckle, it's really in a hitter's green zone to put the bat on the ball.
Colton Wong hits it on the ground in the right spot. It sneaks through. And Diaz going to go first to third. And the throw back. A surprise Mark Reynolds. For that great baseball intelligence of Nolan Arenado. He knew he had no play on Cargo's throw on Diaz, but he thought Wong maybe taking an aggressive turn, which he did. He nearly had him.
Well, Reynolds dives, just barely misses it. You can see Diaz going first and third pretty quickly. Nolan, no hesitation. He's going to get that baseball, and watch as Mark gets back up on his feet, reading the throw of Cargo. Cargo making a strong throw, but just that IQ. Just that baseball IQ right there, knowing, like you just said, Wong's going to take a turn with a throw like that because he's going to follow the trail. And if he can, if that's an errant throw by Cargo, should be standing on second.
So Wainwright with runners at first and third and one out. Wainwright hit a bouncer to short his first time. That would work well here. Double play, get the Rockies out of the inning.
Oh, should we catch this?
We almost had an opportunity, but not quite.
Yeah, it was. If we had a big fish net, I think I could have reached down and grabbed it. Well, Adam Wainwright, 45 career RBIs, leads all active pitchers. And that's important. When you can handle the bat and you're a pitcher, keeps you in the game a lot longer. Of course, when you have Adam Wainwright's stuff and how dominant he's been the last couple of years, who's going to take him out?
Oh, 0-1 on Wainwright. He puts down the bunt, safety squeeze, and out at the plate. Great play, Mark Reynolds. Glove flip to Walters. Diaz is gone. And that is the second out. Terrific play getting down the line to field that bunt by Mark Reynolds.
Well, Mark does a great job, but watch what Nolan does really quickly. He's going to sprint to Diaz, trying to pretend like there's some sort of pick play, just to get in his mind that maybe he's going to do something, and Reynolds with the glove flip. That's a well-placed bunt, but it's better defense by the two corner guys in Reynolds and Nolan.
And now Matt Carpenter, 0 for 1, walked and scored last inning on the double by Matt Holliday. 2-0 St. Louis. The Cardinals have out-hit the Rockies 5-4 as they hit here with 2 gone in the fourth. Wong gets chased back.
I'm always nervous when I see certain shifts, and I get it, but a hand with a guy like Matt Carpenter that handles the bat so well, you see shortstops wide open. And so when you see this type of shift, you have to understand how to pitch into it.
Snap throw, and they almost get Wong. Walters fires down to second to a Story. Rockies shift a lot. We know that. 4th in baseball currently. The average is about 265 so far, and the Rockies 200 more than that. Houston shifts more than anybody, and now near the bottom of the list would be St. Louis. Cardinals currently 23rd. Last year they were dead last They've already shifted more this year than they did last year, so they're coming around slowly.
Well, I know in Los Angeles, Clayton Kershaw refuses to let his team shift, let the Dodgers shift, even with all the analytics they have on it when he pitches.
I didn't realize the ball was in play when he was pitching.
It's not.
1-2, and Walters safe. Wong, a sneak attack steal with the open side. I don't know if he was delayed or he read the ball in the dirt and took off. That was a dangerous play from the Cardinals' perspective. Last thing you want to do is get thrown out at third with 2 outs.
And Tom Reynolds is going to take a quick peek and see if Nolan was able to get the tag on him quick. I don't think so.
Nope, got his hand in there.
Well, there's times to steal third base, and then there's times to lay back. You look at a 0-2 count, you look at a ball in the dirt, and you think to yourself, maybe it is worth it, because now I might be able to take away the off-speed pitches. And on the Subaru Supermo, you can see Colton Wong is safe in on a quick tag by Nolan. It caught Tony Wolters a little off guard, too, to see a guy stealing third in this situation.
2-2, and the breaking ball misses. 3-2. So Wainwright will be moving. Rustin trying to keep it a 2-0 game. Swung on and missed. He strikes out Carpenter in the inning. So the Cardinals got a couple of hits. They leave runners at first and third. And we go to the 5th, 2-0 St. Louis. Out from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The Coors Light Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light. The first tiebreaker series in Major League history occurred in 1946 when the Cardinals and Brooklyn Dodgers had to go at it. They both finished with identical 96-58 records. St. Louis won the first game in St. Louis at Sportsman's Park, and the second game in Brooklyn at Ebbets Field to win the best out of 3. The Cardinals went on to defeat the Red Sox in the 46 World Series. Adam Wainwright in the 5th inning will face Chris Rustin in the top of the Rockies order. Rockies again have had opportunities, but they're 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Mawson hit a sinking line drive to left that was caught by Matt Holliday in the third. And this one's popped up right around the pitcher's mound. And foul ground. The catch is made by Brandon Mawson. Yadier Molina just passed Ted Simmons for most innings caught all time with the Cardinals.
Unbelievable. Hey, look at the names. Tim McCarver, Ted Simmons, who I wholeheartedly believe should be in the Hall of Fame. He was just at the wrong time frame. When you're the guy behind Johnny Bench, Ted Simmons, a great switch hitting catcher with the Cardinals, but Yadier Molina, from the day one, first day from coming up into the big leagues, he's been an incredible player.
He's been a marvelous player, and this year, and we touched on this last night, it's incredible. Even by his standards, as Charlie takes another pitch out of the zone, 2-0, he shocked the Cardinals organization. He had the thumb injury last year, had to have surgery after the season, and he hadn't swung a bat until March 20th. And his first couple of games, he went up there, just tracked, wasn't allowed to swing in a game. And yet, here he is second in the game to Salvador Perez in innings caught. This is a guy that basically had no spring training. Well, and on top of it, he's hitting well over 300.
He's incredible. And he comes from Vega Alta, Puerto Rico, which is, it's known as the village of the squatters. And it's very fitting that for his career, he's going to go down as one of the greatest catchers of all time.
Well, like so many kids in this country and countries throughout Latin America, Yadi learned the game from his father. He is a beast. And he's very forthcoming with passing along the nuances of catching. I remember a few years ago, fouled off by Charlie. About 3 hours before the ball game, he was in a squat next to Willeen Rosario, and he was teaching him for not just for like a minute or two. He was out there for 20 minutes before batting practice, working with Willeen on techniques. Willeen played for the other club.
It's amazing.
There's no more well-respected guy in that Cardinal clubhouse. He's got the gold on his chest protector, and that will never come off. He's the standard bearer right now, and has been for a while. 3-2 again on Charlie, and this time Wainwright wins the battle. Charlie was 2 for 2 against Wainwright. 2 outs, and that'll bring up Trevor Story.
Well, and if you're wondering all time where Yadier Molina ranks, Ivan Pudge Rodriguez is first with 20,347 innings caught. So Dougie and I, we tried to figure out how long that would take to get 8,000 more innings. And if Yadi was to catch every single game, every inning, it would take him 6 years. My career was 5 years.
I don't put it past him, though.
No.
Called strike on Story. Line single to center his last time up. Trevor's 1 for 2.
It's great when you hear the stories, because Yadi was the younger of 2 older brothers that were playing professional baseball. Benji Molina signed in 1993 as an amateur free agent, and Jose, his other brother, signed. He had his entire bedroom covered in clippings of his brothers.
Benji and Yadi, because Benji could hit also, and they were all great defensive catchers. Benji was like Yadi in that very, very tough to strike out. Story goes down on a curveball, and that's 6 in a row set down by Wainwright. He's putting together his best outing of the year. 2-0 St. Louis, middle of 5. Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. We are in St. Louis, middle game of a 3-game set. Chris Russin, Adam Wainwright hooking up tonight. We go to the bottom of the 5th. It's 2-0 Cardinals. And for St. Louis, they'll have Stephen Piscotty out of the 2 spot in the lineup, leading off, and he rolls one to short. Story goes out. Piscotty, 1 gone. Chris has done a solid job keeping the Rockies in this ball game. Giving up 5 hits, pitched out of a jam in the 4th inning. Matt Holliday, who strides to the plate, the difference right now. He turned on a pitch and pulled a hard ground ball down the third base line for a double that drove in Carpenter and Piscotty in the 3rd. Matt's got 21 RBIs now. 6 home runs, 2 more than he hit last year in an injury-plagued season. That ended a string for Matt of a bunch of years in a row where he hit at least 20 home runs. Going all the way back to 2006 when he hit 34 in a Rockies uniform. 05, he hit 19 and drove in 87 with the Rockies. Man, time flies. His first year was 04. 121 games. He had 290, 14 home runs, 57 driven in.
Are you going to get sentimental?
May. Teammate of yours in 07, the World Series run, and he led the league with a 340 batting average. Led the league in hits with 216. Had 50 doubles, which led the league. Led the league with 137 RBIs. Somehow he wasn't the MVP. But he led the league in another department. MVP chants from the great fans at Coors Field. Remember that every time he came up in September. MVP.
It was unbelievable.
MVP.
I mean, when we were going through Rocktober, talk about crowd and fan and feeling as Matt takes strike 3. He doesn't like the call either, but you talk about coming to the ballpark and the best player on the field is your teammate, and then the crowd is cheering him on to a chorus that I've never heard before. I mean, I remember Adrian Beltre getting in Dodger Stadium a couple of years before, and it was incredible. But I never thought we'd see that coming from Colorado based on the group of guys. We just weren't there yet. And in a short period of time, we have the MVP, in my opinion, and the Rookie of the Year, in my opinion, on the same team.
Randall Grichuk with 2 outs. Rockies made a roster move today that we need to tell you about. Miguel Castro was reinstated from the 15-day disabled list. Remember, he had some inflammation in his right shoulder, and he was optioned to AAA Albuquerque. He'd been pitching splendid baseball for the Rockies. This ball's well hit to center. And it's going to die in front of the wall as Charlie Blackmon makes the catch to end the inning. Very quickly, you may be saying, well, why would he be optioned down? He was great. He's still strengthening that arm and hasn't been quite as sharp. So the Rockies want to have him continue to work at AAA Albuquerque, and his rehab time was up. He'll be back here shortly. Here's our first bank game recap. The Rockies trailing 2-0. Again, minimal amount of hits for both teams. Charlie's 2 for 3. Had a triple in the first inning leading off the game. Unfortunately, the Rockies did not cash that in. Cardinals got a 2-run double from Matt Holliday. In the 6th inning, it'll be Nolan Arenado, Carlos Gonzalez, Mark Reynolds to face Adam Wainwright. Wainwright has struck out 5, and he has retired 6 in a row. Nolan reached on an error and hit a fly ball to center. That's inside. Nolan drove in his 33rd run of the season last night with a sharp single.
And as much as Wainwright has struggled this year against the Rockies, he's been borderline unhittable. 5-1 all time, 1.19 ERA.
2-1.
And you see against Colorado all time, he's the best. Roy Oswalt, Randy Johnson, Jordan Zimmerman, Frank Castillo. And even at Coors Field, he's 2-0 with a 1.85 ERA. Wainwright just seems to have the Rockies' number.
That is line to left center field, a base hit. So again, the Rockies have the leadoff man on. 3rd time tonight. See if Cargo can figure out. Check it 4th time tonight. See if Cargo can figure out Wainwright here in the 6th inning. He's had a soft line drive and fly ball to center field. Let me recorrect that. It is 3 times. I forgot Russin made the first out in the 3rd inning. But the point being is the Rockies have had traffic. They're just missing that key hit. Something that they've had quite a few of during the 5-game winning streak. Ball 1. Rockies are 20-18 last year at this time through 38 games. They were 8 games below 500 at 15-23.
Wainwright does such a good job, and you don't see it in the box score, but of varying his times. He's varying his time to Cargo and keeping that leg kick from getting back to where he's comfortable. He's quick pitched him. He goes to a leg kick. He speeds him up with using fastballs in, throwing big slow curveballs away.
And Cargo just jammed a little bit, and coming on in center field to make the catch is Grichuk.
Be at Coors Field when the Rockies take on the San Francisco Giants May 27th through the 29th. Get your tickets today.
That'll bring up Reynolds. Mark doubled down the 3rd base line, also is lined to right, 1 for 2. Got 140 games last year with the Cardinals. Hit just .230 with 13 home runs, drove in 48. Keep in mind, a lot of those he got in 140 games, but a lot of times that was pinch hitting late in games.
And Mark Reynolds can maybe surprise his old teammates by using his new opposite field approach. You can see right of Colton Wong, the baseball field is wide open.
Interestingly, though, Grichuk in center field, because of the spray chart so far this year, he is shaded toward the off gap.
That's a lot of room to work with, especially for a right-handed hitter. And most people think a pitch outside is the easiest ball to hit over there. Really, you want to pitch in. Pull your hands in, you can let the ball travel, and you can hit the ball opposite field. So when you see Adam Wainwright throwing the cutter and curveballs down and away, it's really difficult for a hitter to take that pitch and shoot it to right field.
On the ground is short, and that's a 6-4-3 double play. Middle of 6. The Rockies still being blanked by Wainwright. 2-0 Cardinals. The house. 2-0 Cardinals. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Molina's going to lead it off. A reminder, you get 50% off your online order the day after every Rockies win at Papa John's. Use the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com.
So you were curious why Vega Alta, Puerto Rico, why it's known as the village of the squatters.
I knew you would enlighten us.
I'd come back to it. I mean, it's hard to tell a story in such a short period of time.
This ball's well hit to left, and Parra goes back.
Well, the city's got the nickname because their local sugarcane cutters would squat waiting for the train to come and pick them up.
So it had nothing to do with the Molina brothers and their ability to catch.
No, but we can consider it now that everybody knows that it's home of the Molinas.
So they'll change the history of why the town is known as
the village of the squatters.
The village of the squatters.
It's the Molina brothers. They were all from here.
Brandon Moss, ground ball to third and a strikeout. This may be it for Russin. He's due up 4th next inning. That's a good breaking ball. 0-2. You know, a lot of times when you have platoons at a position, it's usually a right-left deal. Right now they have Brandon Moss and Matt Adams, 2 lefties, splitting time at first base.
Well, I was asking Mark Reynolds because he was loved here in St. Louis. He was a great teammate for this group, and I asked him, you know, why didn't you come back to St. Louis? And he said, well, the reason why is Brandon Moss. They made a trade. They gave up a pretty big prospect to get him, and he was going to get majority of the playing time. There's also, you had Matt Holliday. They thought Tommy Pham was going to play more, and Holliday ended up playing the first inning at first base this season, and Tommy Pham blows out, and Matt Holliday has to go out to left field. He goes, well, that was short-lived.
Moss goes down. Another strikeout. That's number 5 for Russin. And Russin has retired 7 in a row. Boy, you just, in a game like this, as this thing is unfolded, you hate to keep reflecting back, but those missed opportunities, especially to get that first marker up in the first frame.
Well, and you have Adam Wainwright on the ropes his confidence. First guy, oh my goodness, here we go again. Triple in the gap, nobody out. And then to find your way out of it, even with an error. Leno's been able to settle himself down, and here you go, it's 2-0.
Big Jonathan Broxton, the former Dodger, getting loose. One of the setup men now for St. Louis. Aledmus Diaz, base hit to right. His last time up, he's got a 2-0 count. And that's rifled past Arenado. Parra's throw to second was in time, but in DJ's haste to put the tag on, the ball squirted past, so it's a double for Diaz.
.2-0 count. Diaz taking his big swing, 2-0, knowing a fastball is going to come, and as quick as Nolan is, as great as Nolan is, that ball is scorched right past him. Gerardo Parra getting to the baseball quickly. That's a tough throw for a left-hander down the left field line. That throw would have beat him. But it took a little short hop on DJ on the second bounce. It scooched just off of his glove.
So Steve Foster out visiting. While we have a moment, Bill Miller's the first base coach right now. Jose Akendo not with the club, so working third base is Chris Maloney. But I was talking to Bill, a former batting champ with the Red Sox, about Diaz and how he's impressed with the bat. And typical of a lot of kids that defected from Cuba, the game doesn't get too big because they spent their whole life trying to get here. So playing in front of 40,000 people, he's able to handle it. And he told a story, Bill Miller did, about an old teammate of his with the Giants, Osvaldo Fernandez, who came from Cuba, who was a pitcher. And he said, he told him a story that he actually, in his stadium that he played in Cuba, his family lived underneath the stadium.
Wow.
That was, and I put this in quotations, their home. Good pitch by Russin. And that'll end the inning. So through 6 innings, the Rockies trailing the Cardinals 2-0. Chris Russin's done a very solid job tonight.
The World Series against the Tigers. And the Cardinals go on to win it. David Eckstein, you remember, was the most valuable player. And Yadier Molina, of course, was behind the plate. And when you take a look at the players left from 10 years ago, It's the battery here that we see tonight. Yachty and Adam Wainwright. Chris Duncan remains in St. Louis. He threw out the first pitch yesterday, does a radio show, and Jose Oquendo was talked about, of course, by Drew Goodman. Now, Spilly, you can talk about Randy Flores and the job that he just got with the St. Louis Cardinals. He's back in the organization.
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah.
And Randy Flores knew John Mozeliak, and when Randy Flores was going back to school after his playing days were over, he went to USC and was going back to either law school or business school. I can't remember what Randy was going back to school, but he called John Mozeliak and asked for a letter of recommendation. And John wrote the letter for him and then called him years later when Randy started a project where they're filming, you know, for youth baseball. They put cameras for families to watch their kids play baseball. And so John and the Cardinals, they started using his technology and then offered him the scouting directing, or the farm directing job because of the relationship that they built.
And Randy had dabbled in broadcasting the last few years also.
He was great. We had him on a pregame show this last year, and he was fantastic.
Sharp guy. Glad to see Randy continuing to do well. One out as Parra hit a comebacker. DJ a strikeout and a ground ball to second. Gonzalez Germain is getting loose in the Rockies pen. We've said this so many times. You watch Major League Baseball games, especially when you get a guy of the not only physical but the figurative stature of Wainwright. If you have opportunities early, you better take advantage, because more often than not, they're going to get stronger. And that's what's occurred tonight for Wainwright in what has been a most difficult season thus far. He came in with an ERA close to 7. Rockies had early opportunities, did not capitalize. And now Wainwright's dealing.
Well,
2-2.
You just look at the physical change from the very first pitch that Blackman drilled into right center. His reaction to where he is now, it's night and day. It's like when we've seen John Gray turn the corner and the confidence that he exudes on the mound. And Waino's getting it back tonight.
The good news is, because Chris Russin has pitched well, the Rockies are down just 2 markers. 3-2. Walters on deck. And that misses. Wainwright wanted it, but it's off the plate. So a 1-out walk to LeMahieu. Walters will come up, and the Rockies will have Ryan Rayburn go to the on-deck circle. What guys do, professional athletes, to prepare to play a game. And in this sport, it's night after night. Tony Walters, 23 years old, right? Young guy, young legs, young body, great shape. I passed Tony as I was leaving the weight room at the team hotel today at 12:20 in the afternoon. He was going in there to use rollers on his legs and to get the legs loose, get the muscles activated some almost 7 hours before first pitch. That's before he went over to the ballpark. That's just a little after noon. And this isn't the 38-year-old guy.
No,
you know.
I feel like Yachty can just roll out of bed and catch. I mean, you talk about Tony Walters has only been catching for 3 years. I mean, you still have to get your body in shape for that. And even though it's 3 years later, for some guys it's a lot more natural. Hip mobility, hip flexibility.
One and two on Tony.
But in general, we're seeing a lot of major leaguers and players now coming to the big leagues with these long routines, trying to get their bodies in shape, eating right. Millie was talking about it last week, how Nolan's changed all the food that he eats. He's eating healthy from when he wakes up to when he goes to bed because it's so important.
This is loop left center field. It's going to get down to Tony Walters with a base hit, and now the Rockies have 2 on with 1 out for Ryan Rayburn, who will pinch hit for Russin.
Third time through the lineup now for Adam Wainwright as well, and is starting to get to the bottom as Mike Matheny's walking out. Another curveball, way too much part of the plate. It's up in the zone, and Tony's able to punch it out into left center field. Even though Matt Holliday tried to pretend like he was going to catch it, DJ got to second base pretty quickly.
Segrist is in the bullpen. And Matheny is not going to make a move. Just came out to check on his big right-hander. There's Nick Hundley talking to Chris Russin. Russin goes 6 innings, allows 2 runs on 6 hits. Good performance by Chris. Rayburn with 5 pinch hits and a couple of pinch homers. Last pinch hit was the 2-run home run on Sunday. It took the Rockies from a 3-2 deficit to a 4-3 lead, and they would go on to win 4-3 over the Mets. Rayburn started last night, 0 for 2 and a walk. 1-0 hit in the air to right field, playable for Biscotti. LeMahieu moves up, and with 2 outs, it'll bring up Blackman, who's had the most success of anybody tonight against Wainwright.
I'm going to guess that's going to be the last batter that Wainwright was going to face.
They'll go to Segrist here, the tough left-hander, to face Blackman.
Well, and any time Mike Matheny walks straight to Gary Cederstrom, it means a double switch. Colton Wong will come out of the game.
Ruben Tejada's going to go to short, and Diaz will go to second as Wong comes out. Wainwright hearing it from the St. Louis faithful, 2-0 Cardinals. All right, Jenny, thanks much. Rockies have 2 on with 2 outs. And at the plate, Charlie Blackmon, and he's going to face a tough left-hander in Kevin Segrist. League hitting just 190 against him. Charlie a triple, a single, and a strikeout. 2 for 3. Outside at 94. He struck out 22 in 15 2/3. He's walked only 3. Cardinals always seem to have a strong bullpen. Last year they led all of baseball in ERA. And Charlie went 1-1. Diaz actually stays at short, and Tejada is at second.
I was actually surprised when I saw that. I thought, from what we heard, we'd see Diaz go to second. Ruben Tejada being a natural fielding shortstop. And given on the air that Diaz made earlier today, you'd kind of think otherwise.
10 errors for Diaz at shortstop. 1 ball, 1 strike. And it's foul tip, 1-2. You just tell by the check swings that Charlie's having trouble picking up the baseball.
Well, Segrist does a great job of how he twists his body and really hides the baseball. Even from up here, it's hard for me to pick up the baseball watching it. Can't imagine being a left-handed batter trying to keep that front shoulder in and try to find the baseball, especially when the baseball is coming out at 95 miles an hour.
One, 2. There's one at 95 fouled off. Segrist, talk about guys developing late. He was a 41st round pick out of Palm Beach Community College. That couldn't happen today. As Dougie points out, there's only 40 rounds today. Shortened the draft by 10 rounds a couple years ago. Draft's coming up. The Rockies have 3 in the first 48, 3 in the first 44, something like that. 1-2, strike 3. Blackmon caught looking at a heater at 95. He thought it was wide of the zone. Rockies leave 2 more on base. 2-0. performance. Chris Russin tonight goes 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits. A couple of walks. He struck out 5. And he, like Wainwright, got stronger as the evening progressed. Kept the Rockies in this baseball game. Rockies just have not been able to get the big hit tonight. They're 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position, and they'll turn now to Gonzalez-Germain in the bottom of the 7th. It'll be Ruben Tejada leading it off after the double switch. And then the top of the order, Matt Carpenter and Steven Piscotty. Well, Germain's done a really fine job.
He really has. His last 7 and a third innings, he's only given up 3 straight. He's had given up 5 hits, 1 earned run. He's sub 1 ER, sub 1 whip. He's been great. Fastball, slider, changeup, excellent slider.
And that is line foul. Fastball runs inside at 93, 1-1. And that 2's tight. 2-1.
We are too, Jim.
That's a strike on the outer edge.
And that's something that we've been noticing with Gonzalez. He's able to steal strikes where he can come off of his 93-mile-an-hour fastball and use his changeup to swing a count back in his favor.
2-2 on Tejada, the former Met. Change up again there. Cardinals last year won 55 games at home. 4th straight year they've won at least 50 at home. They're 9-11 right now this year. The only other team to win that many games last year at home was the Dodgers. They won 55 at home. Two.
It's time to throw the wrinkle at him.
Haven't seen the slider yet.
Now you talk about the last 10 years, nobody has been better at home than the St. Louis Cardinals. It's really has been a home field advantage for them. I mean, really, we see the Giants all the time, and going into AT&T Ballpark, the way that they play and how it feels like they're in it at all times, that's just because we don't come here that often, but that's the same feel I get coming into this stadium.
Yep, good pitch. He threw a hard sinker and he strikes out Tejada. 1 gone in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, Germain just said, what are you talking about, Spilly? I don't need a wrinkle. Just throw the super sinker inside. I'll swing right over the top of that. You can see the bottom completely fall out of it. And that's where location is so important. 94 running down and in.
Matt Carpenter 0 for 2 and a walk, 2 strikeouts against Russin. Out front, Carpenter just 1 for his last 14. The Cardinals going into last night's ball game had homered in 13 straight games against the Rockies. Kept in the park last night. Their 2 runs tonight came on a ground ball double down the third base line off the bat of Matt Holliday. That would figure because Matt has tormented the Rockies since his departure. 1-1. Chad Quall's feeling better. He was under the weather over the weekend.
When you're talking about the Cardinals hitting home runs, I was not going to use the stat during the game, but Chris Russin is the only pitcher in baseball with 25+ innings not to have allowed a home run. So now that he's out of the game, I feel totally confident in saying it.
Can't give up one tonight. Unless it comes in Stratomatic baseball later on.
I think John Miller with the Giants is playing that tonight. Has a big party.
John does play that still, huh?
Oh, yeah.
2-2. Great collector of watches also, John Miller.
And sandals.
Different view. Two.
Live Rockies baseball is back in 2016 with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected with stats, news, and more.
Jermaine ready. They want the fastball up, and that made the umpire Cederstrom flinch for a moment, but it was inside. 3-2.
When you look at pitch usage with Gonzalez-Dramon, and he does not throw sliders, so he only uses fastball changeup. Wants to throw the sinking fastball and see if he can run it back over the plate. Good pitch.
Tony wanted to shake, and he tried to change up, missed with it, so a walk to Carpenter in front of Piscotty.
Well, it looked to me like he wanted to do a quick slide step changeup, and when he did it, he rushed himself through his mechanics and cut the changeup off where he wasn't even able to get to the right release point to throw a good quality strike. That's sometimes where I watch that and I go, you know what, you don't have to trick the batter. You don't have to trick him, just throw your pitch.
Scotty 2 for 3, single and a double tonight. High fly ball, deep left field in that corner, and Parra leaps and he can't make the grab. Great effort by Gerardo.
You can see Parra giving chase, going Spider-Man, and it hits the metal railing right above the pad. Tell you what, for outfielders, we dream about those plays. Those are great.
playing Spider-Man, right?
It's like parkour.
He's got, you know what? I didn't realize that. Gerardo's got a little Jose Mesa. He's got the purple trim on his outfield glove. Like it.
Piscotty with 2 hits tonight, 16 multi-hit games, is 4th in the National League.
You know, Stanford recruits nationally, but getting Piscotty to go there was easy because he went to games as a kid. He grew up in Pleasanton, same hometown as Brandon Crawford. So that was an easy sell. That's a base hit, his 3rd of the night. Carpenter is trying to go first to third, and he is out at third base. Great throw by Parra, right on the money. And the quick tag by Arenado for the 2nd out. Piscotty went to 2nd on the throw.
Not a great base running read by Matt Carpenter on this play, especially with the arm that Gerardo Parra has. Even though it's hit in right above the shortstop, the route that Parra does to get around the baseball and the arm that he has to make up for whatever ground he covers. You see how well he gets behind the baseball and the strike he throws. You can see that's not a great base running route by Carpenter. He missed second base and not the proper stride, and one step right there, and you have the ability to be safe, but that misstep, second base, and he's out.
So here's Holiday. Reached on an error, doubled in the 2 runs that the Cardinals have. Caught looking his last time up. You know, it's one of those deals, Spilly, where maybe Carpenter's just banking on Parra not throwing it because you don't want, it's clearly out. You don't want that trail runner to move up. Now you have 2 in scoring position, double play, not in order.
Well, when you have the lead, you can take chances like this, but so far throughout the game, we have not seen the best base running.
See, I don't have an issue at all that he tried to do that from St. Louis's perspective. No. But to your observation, I think you're right on the money. It was a poor turn at second base.
Poor turn at second base, and you know what? It is a tough play for a lefty getting around a baseball, especially from a left fielder. But his arm is nobody better. Outfield assists since 2009. He's 2nd to Adam Jones with 75. Surprised he didn't wave the Motumbo finger at him.
Can't do that when you trail.
Good point.
3-0 on Holiday.
Well, Holiday will probably have the green light. 3-0. Runner in scoring position.
And that's why you got a changeup.
And Holiday's the only person tonight to be able to come through with runners in scoring position. Let's just add both teams. They're 1 for 18 on the night.
Not flowery numbers. Good numbers for the pitchers. And that goes off of Walters. That'll be a pass ball. It was ball 4. That allowed Piscotty to go to third. Randall Grichuk will come up. Two walks in the inning by Gonzalez Germain. And now Hazelbaker, who would have come in defensively anyhow, is going to pinch run for Holiday. So Walt's going to make a move. Qualls will come in. 2 outs in the 7th. 2-0 St. Louis. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Via Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies and by Volkswagen. Game 2 of 3 at Busch Stadium for the Rockies last night. Colorado got to shake hands, a 3-1 victory. Tonight they trailed 2-0. 2 on, first and third, 2 outs. Chad Qualls in the 7th to face Randall Grichuk. He's twice hit fly balls to deep center. He walked his first time up tonight. And on the ground to short. DJ was over on that left side. He had to slide to the bag. So on one pitch, Qualls gets out of it. See if the Rockies can get the offense going. Story to lead off. The Rockies, 2 runs, 7 hits, and an error for St. Louis. Story, Arenado, and Gonzalez against Kevin Segrist in the top of the 8th inning. Well, there's some good-looking young shortstops in the game. Story, 278. He's been fielding exceptionally well. Aledmus Diaz is really tearing the cover off the baseball. And it's not only the .379 average, he was second in baseball coming in with a .645 slugging percentage. His only issues have been on defense. Corey Seager hit a couple home runs in a game the other day. The consensus top prospect in the game over the last 2 years. Playing shortstop every day, and really has become maybe the most consistent offensive player for the Dodgers. So Story had a base hit back in the third. Rockies 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Jeremy Hazelbaker stays in left field. Pitch misses up high. And 2-0 on Trevor.
And this is a year ago where we would see Rockies hitters swinging for the fences. 2-0 count, take a big swing trying to tie up the score. Well, you need a base runner right here. You don't need a home run.
2-1.
See what kind of a bat, what kind of approach we get. Seagrass is not a very easy pitcher to square up. Cardinals bullpen has been very good.
You got to do what the Rockies have done and then add another hit. They put some base runners on tonight. They just haven't had that run scoring hit. Home runs, we mentioned last night quite a bit that the air was so heavy and it was cold and damp. Ball didn't go anywhere. And tonight in batting practice, talking to some of the players, it was a little bit better, but it was not like it is in the summer here. So, I mean, you absolutely have to corral one to hit it out tonight. 2-2.
On Seagrass for right-handed batters will primarily go to using his fastball and changeup. You only have to think about 2 pitches.
So many lefties who come in other than closers. You always assume if it's prior to the 9th inning, they're in just to face lefties. But Seagrass actually has been tougher on righties this year. Strike 3, inside corner.
And see on the super strike zone, that ball is in, but it's still too close to take. Seagrass with the good inside fastball through a changeup the pitch before. When you have Yadi Molina behind the plate working Gary Cederstrom, and there's not a lot of movement right there wasted. He looks like he's pulling that ball back in towards the strike zone.
That's the same spot that he called out Charlie Blackmon last inning.
You're fine with that. As long as it goes both ways, no hitter will be upset, even though you are upset initially.
Nolan takes inside. Here's our Colorado lottery pitch probability, 1-0. Oh, we'll see a fastball 62% of the time. And that's what he got.
Well, and Seagrass has 11 wins dating back from last year, and that's the most in baseball for relief wins. And that's because he's not just getting one lefty. He's in here for an inning. They're going to ask him to get 4 outs tonight.
This is going to land in foul territory where no one can catch it. 1-2 on Nolan. Check this out on Arenado. Since the start of last year, he has 110 extra base hits, 55 of which are home runs. Got 28 on the road, 27 at home, and he has 163 driven in. This one's playable. Tejada makes the catch, 2 gone. White Sox now have turned 2 triple plays this year.
That's crazy. Well, the first triple play I saw was some of the worst base running I've ever seen. Adam Eaton's in right field, makes a great play. Makes a throw to first base where Ian Desmond is trying to tag up. Gets thrown out at first. Then they get Prince Fielder caught in a rundown and get the triple play. The bases loaded triple play.
That wasn't much of a rundown, by the way, to get Prince.
No.
Carr goes 0 for 3.
Think about that, though, Drew. A bases loaded triple play.
Talk about popping the balloon. Hey, we're going to have a big rally here.
Huge rally. Here we go. Get your gloves.
All right, in and out. 0-1 on Cargo. And that's strike 0-2.
Seagrass is filthy.
Two outs in the 8th inning, 2-0. And a slider gets Cargo. Throws him out. Seagrass, 3 strikeouts of the 4 batters he faced. 2-0 St. Louis, middle of 8th.
That Reggie Jackson celebrated his 70th birthday. And how about this tweet from the Yankees? Happy birthday to our very own number 44. One of baseball's premier power hitters, at Mr. October. Yep, Walt Weiss was with him with the A's back in 1987.
This is Reggie Jackson, you know, and I grew up watching him in New York, and he was on the bench a lot because, you know, he wasn't an everyday player at that point, and I was, you know, I was just an extra guy on the roster at that point, so I'm on the bench too, and I was always nervous to sit within 20 feet of him. You know, I just didn't feel like I belonged next to Reggie Jackson on a major league bench, so it made it a little weird for me, but very cool.
Very cool indeed, Drew and Spilly. Great story from Walt.
Guess we're getting up there. Reggie 70, huh?
I'm trying to think of somebody that I really admired that maybe didn't have quite Mr. October's legendary status, but one that I thought of, teammate of mine, Jason Giambi. I mean, to me, watching him in 2000 and 2001 with Oakland.
Those were fun times being around Giambi when he was a Rocky, and he got the crowd out of their chairs a number of times. Off the bench late in ball games. The 3-homer game in Philadelphia. Reggie Jackson tweets out, thanks for all the birthday wishes. Great to hear from so many. It feels good to hear from all of you, Reggie. And he's around the Yankees quite a bit. Still works for the organization. George told some great Reggie stories through the years. High fly ball left field. Brandon Moss retired on a fly ball to Parra. 2 outs in the 8th. Peeking ahead to the 9th, the Rockies will have Reynolds, Parra, and LeMahieu. And of course, it'll be Trevor Rosenthal, the closer for St. Louis. Who wants tacos? Fans follow at @RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. Aledmus Diaz at the plate. Robbed of a hit in the 2nd inning by Nolan. Single and a double since. Kid's hit .379.
It's a good player.
Just going back to what Bill Miller was saying about his former teammate who's from Cuba. I mean, when you go through some of the things that these young guys have gone through to get here, they're going to handle the pressure of playing at this level maybe a little bit easier than some other guys.
I mean, the stuff that, and I've played with several Cuban players, and their stories they're heartbreaking. And it's not even good stuff to hear. When you hear it, it's traumatic. You hear about Jose Fernandez. You listen to Leonis Martin. I mean, teammate of mine with the Rockies, Jose Contreras. Get these stories, and there's a great documentary ESPN did called Brothers. That was about Orlando Hernandez, El Duque, and Livan Hernandez, and that story is heartbreaking.
Hard sinker down low. It's 2-1.
Even a guy like Jose Abreu, who has a daughter and he hasn't seen her for years, hasn't seen his family for years. I mean, I just cannot imagine.
It's tragic.
It's tragic. And I lived in Japan, not to put it in the same context, but I was away from my family for 7 months and was willing to walk away from the game because I couldn't stand it. A lot of respect for the Cuban players that have had to deal with all the stuff that they deal with.
No question. 2-2 on Diaz, and the slider is in the dirt. 3-2.
Qualls hasn't pitched for a week. He gets one batter, one pitch, and Walt goes, you know what? Why don't you go back out there and throw a couple more pitches?
And he does his thing. He gets a bunch of ground balls. 1-2-3 for Chad Qualls in the 8th. The Rockies need to rally in the 9th. And it will be Mark Reynolds, Gerardo Parra, and DJ LeMahieu. Lead things off. The Rockies will get Trevor Rosenthal. More on him in a moment. But our link to what's next, our CenturyLink link to what's next. The pitching matchup on Thursday night will be John Gray against Michael Wacha. Wacha's lost 4 starts in a row. He's 2-4. And John Gray, despite the 4.71 ERA, that was early on. His last 3 starts have been just terrific. So John Gray, 38 punch-outs, just 7 walks against Michael Wacha. What a matchup Thursday night. Here's Trevor Rosenthal, 7 saves this year. And last year he had 48, the year before 45. Not bad for a 21st round pick out of Cowley County Junior College. 0-1 on Reynolds. Reynolds a double in the 4th inning. 1 for 3 tonight.
Well, Rosenthal, big fastball, can run it all the way up to 98, 99 miles an hour. This season a little strange though, 14.25 strikeouts per 9, but it's the walks per 9, 7.5. That's what you'd like to see. It's the last thing you want to see from a closer is walking guys. That puts the Rockies in a position to one swing, one pitch, you have a chance to tie it up.
He wanted that breaking ball and it was close. In fact, it may have been a strike. Rosenthal, you've heard the name for a while. He's only 25. He'll be 26 at the end of the month. Mark got the barrel out, fouled it off. 1-2 it remains. Last year when leading after 8 innings, the Cardinals were 87-1. This year they're 19-0. The Rockies and Pirates this year are the only 2 teams not to have been shut out. And that is a fair. Oh, I thought for a moment Lance Barksdale was about to pump the right arm saying it was fair.
Well, Reynolds wants that.
He thought it was fair. Let's take a look. How did that thing almost hit the chalk? How did it not go over the bat? See where that hit, Spilly? Just the angle coming off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, from the angle, you would expect if it's fair on the fair side and then it bounces just barely foul, you would assume that it crosses the bag. Look out.
Well, those are scary, aren't they? When you kind of dive in a little bit and your head is exposed. Watch. Again, it's tough to see there, but just by where it hit, it started in fair territory. You thought all it has to do is cross any portion of that bag. 2-2.
One of the sounds people don't get to hear when you're in the batter's box and a pitch is errant like that, you'll hear the catcher or the umpire yell, "Look out."
Ball 4. There's the walks you were talking about. A leadoff walk for Reynolds in front of Parra.
It's perfect for a grab bag. The Rockies Wives annual charity grab bags event is May 27th and 28th in Coors Field. Visit the Wives near section 131 to get yours while supplies last. Trevor Rosenthal is giving grab bags away to the Rockies right now.
You hope they continue.
You have to make walks hurt, especially late in the game.
Adam Wainwright tonight went 6 2/3, no runs, 6 hits. He walked 1, struck out 5. Chris Russin went 6 innings, allowed with 2 runs on 6 hits. He struck out 5. He walked 2. Parra a couple of strikeouts tonight and a comebacker. Has not had much success with Rosenthal.
Well, based on what I've seen tonight, look center cut and he's not throwing it there, try not to swing. That's a center cut. You can fire on pitches like that, but if he's not able to locate, you look right down the middle, dead red. Can't miss center cut though.
Rather not. Ninth inning, Reynolds aboard, nobody out. 2-0 St. Louis. Parra got another pitch to hit. You're talking about center cut. Those two balls were center.
You can't ask for it any better than that. Trevor Rosenthal, his last 3 innings pitched 8 walks. Living dangerously.
That's what happens. If you miss the 2 in the middle, you get painted. 1 out.
That's 3 strikeouts for Gerardo Parra, somebody that doesn't typically strike out that often. Well, he missed 2 center cut. You can see on the Subaru Supermo, fastball well located on this one. Right where Yachty wants it. He's going to pull it back in towards the plate. If you don't swing, he probably gets a call on that pitch.
Inside on LeMahieu. DJ walked his last time up, 0 for 2 tonight.
Last 3 pitches, 97. You can see there's some intent now behind the baseball. Almost like he's angry.
Another 97 and another strike. It's 1-2. And a ground ball to second. This could be 2, and it is, and it's the ball game. So the Cardinals snapped the Rockies' win streak at 5 games, and for the first time in 2016, the Rockies get shut out. The final score, 2-0 St. Louis. Wainwright gets the victory, he's 4-3. Russin takes the loss, he's 1-2, and Rosenthal with his 8th save on the year. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Adam Wainwright came in with an ERA of 6.80, but he pitched 6 2/3 of shutout baseball. The Rockies had opportunities early, did not take advantage, and then he got pretty dirty the rest of the way and limited the Rockies' opportunities. So Adam Wainwright, our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Again, the final score, St. Louis wins it 2-0 over the Rockies. They improved to 21-19. The Rockies, with the loss, fall to 20-19. And with that, we get you to our Denver studios in downtown Denver, right near Coors Field. Here's Jenny and Huey. Jenny, all yours.